Okay, so now we're recording. I just want to tell everybody that. Yeah, so this is the course, and everything we're going to do. This is a scheduled. It's called online scheduled versus online anytime. I don't have any online anytimes except in the summertime. So the online scheduled means we have class twice a week, just as if we were physically at ICC. And so attendance is mandatory. Again, as we get going, you'll see that it's to your benefit to show up. Okay? I mean, I can't force you to show up, but it is to your benefit. Let's see here. So we get in via Blackboard, right? Everybody, if you're here, I'm guessing that you knew that and that you've gotten into Blackboard. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you so we can do some of the housekeeping stuff that we need to get done prior to actual programming, okay? And by the way, at some points during the class, I might say, Joseph, go ahead and share your screen with us, okay? That's not to shame you or anything like that, but it will help you. Like sometimes we'll be programming, you say, I'll be writing a program with you, and I'll say, okay, does everybody's program run up to this point? And if yours doesn't, it's to your benefit to tell us, and then we'll open yours up and we'll make the corrections so yours runs like everybody else's. Okay.
Just
And
a quick question. How would
yeah,
I share my screen like that?
I have to give you permission,
Okay.
and a thing will pop up and say you can share your screen,
All
but
right.
it's all part of Zoom.
Okay.
Okay. So on your Zoom, your little Zoom tab there, it'll tell you you can share it. It usually pops up at the top of the screen.
All
Okay.
right.
So I am going to share my screen with you guys right now. And you'll see if you ever do this that you can share one application if you don't want us to see everything you got turned on, or you can share your whole screen. And I'm just going to share my whole screen with you guys. I don't have anything to hide. And you should see, so my Blackboard, when I log in anyway, looks something like this. You guys seeing this? Joseph, shake your head if
Yeah.
you are. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just picking on you because I see you're right below me on my screen right now. So you can see you'll have your classes down the right-hand side here if you have other classes. And we are this one right here, 1770. And this should pop up. That's the announcement page. So I don't change that very often. It's just kind of an introduction to that. And then we start going down the side here. And it'll say, this is ICC's COVID policy. If you click on this one, it'll bring up a PDF and it has this guide. And it really doesn't pertain to this class, but if you're ever going to go to ICC or any of its facilities, you should be aware of those. My information right here, best way to get a hold of me during the week is via email. I check my email all the time up until late in the afternoon, not at night though. My office hours are via Zoom. So the same address you're using now to get to this class, during these hours down here, I think there's there's 5 hours worth anyway, I think, of office hours throughout the week. If I can answer questions, things like that. Okay. This one here there's some videos if you haven't watched them already. Again, I don't renew these a lot, but if you click in here somewhere, let's see, does it still run? Oh my gosh, look at me. But it'll kind of introduce you to me and stuff like that. Blackboard access. Well, that's kind of a stupid one. If you couldn't, how would you get to it if you couldn't get into Blackboard? Syllabus and definition. Federal definition of a credit hour is listed here. One thing that you need to know is that if you were to drop the class, okay, the college comes back to me and says, when was the last time this student attended? Okay. And what I tell them, I will go over to your portfolio, and I'll show you that in a minute. And I tell them the date that you submitted the last valid or last program that you passed. Okay. Is the last day that you attended. Okay. Because it says that to get credit hours, according to the federal government, is that you have to be making achievements. Okay. And so that's what I do there. The reason we have to be in class 4 hours a week, okay, for that is that 2 hours, it's 2 hours of lab, 2 hours of lecture a week, but labs only count for a half hour. So it takes 2 hours of lecture plus 2 hours of lab to give you 3 credit hours. This is the official syllabus you're looking at here. Look over it once and then you can pretty much discard it because everything you need in the class is in Blackboard, okay? Everything in here, this is general course. I created it, or it's property of ICC, one of the two. As far as emailing me, you have to tell me what class you're in. I've got 3 classes, I have 6 total classes, but I have 3 of them in Unix or, in Java alone. So if you don't tell me what class you're in, I won't know how to answer your question because I have an 8-week class. So they'll be, after the first week, they won't be where you're at in the book. So you have to tell me what you're doing, you probably tell me your name, what class, and what do you need help with. There is tutoring or a help lab available still, even online. If you click on this link, it should kick you to right here. And you can even, they have a live chat and everything else there. So I'm not leaving you just, again, here's the office hour. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody have a question? Office hours, here's the Zoom classroom again and office. Due dates, you guys are on Monday to Monday, 1 lesson a week for a total of 16 lessons. So anything that I assign, like lesson 1 is out there now. So it's due next Monday, at I think 9 in the morning or something like that. So that's how it runs for the most part. There's a few programs that are a little longer as we get going along, and I may give you 2 weeks to do those. Email, contact expectations. Again, I don't hide from you. I try to answer my email in a timely manner, but these are some guidelines. For the most part, if you email me during the day, I'm going to get back to you on that same day during the daytime. I don't email, like I said, about 6 o'clock is about the time I shut down from doing anything. So if you email me after 6 or something, you might not get an answer to the following morning. Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, of course, are hit and miss, okay? But I will try to get back to you in a timely manner. Knowledge leveling. This is an important concept, okay? Some of you have programmed before. Some of you have programmed before in Java. So you have a knowledge base coming in. You can't use it. You can when we get to that part of the book, but until I introduce it or the book introduces it, you can't use it. For example, Some of you might know what a loop is, or repetition is the correct name. You cannot use that to solve any problems until we cover it in the chapter, and that won't be for probably 6 weeks. So some of the stuff that you're going to do, you're going to say, well, I could have easily done this using something that I know, and that's a fact, but you can't use it until we get there. Okay? So just be careful with that if you're one of those. Again, this is an entry-level programming class, so we're going to start right at the beginning. I mean, I have all kinds of horror stories from people that taught themselves. Even at Caterpillar, I've been called over there and asked, hey, Doug, can you tell us this guy quit and he wrote this program and we don't know what he did. And I look at it and I go, yeah, either did he. But that's a fact, okay? So, this course requires participation, so there is a class participation grade, and it's pretty subjective. It can be anything from, you know, how many times, attendance, whatever. Do you help other students? Do you participate when we're in Zoom? That kind of stuff. This is the an explanation of attendance and that. Penalties, again, pretty subjective as far as how much late work. Try not, I will tell you, once you get behind in this class, it's a real trudge to try and catch up, okay? I know very few students over the years, I've been doing this for 30 some years, and know very few that catch up once they're, you know, they just, it doesn't work. You got to put the hours in. It's not magic. I'll tell you too, I used to own a programming company, or I've owned several companies, but a programming company here in Peoria. And the guys that worked for me, mostly young guys, they live and, you know, if you want to do this for a living, you have to have a certain mentality. I mean, if I ask some of you guys, you know, are you a gamer? And by that, I mean, when a new game comes out, are you the guy that stays up all night and solves it on the first night?
Absolutely.
And what I'm saying is that's the kind of dedication these guys had. I could not, you know, I'd have to send them home because they stunk so bad. They'd sit there and, you know, try to solve stuff and things like that. And I tell you what, I hired one guy when I hired him, I think he was 16. And the other guy I hired, he was in my class. And I asked him one day, I said, what are you doing here? You know, come to work for me and I'll, you know, and both of those guys are very successful now, by the way. But they were very dedicated to, I think they treated this more like playing a game, where they saw the task to be done as the challenge of the game, and then to solve it, you can't become frustrated. You know, every semester I get something, oh, Doug, I did exactly what yours does, but mine doesn't run. Well, you know what? There's no special lever that Doug Peterson gets that makes mine run and yours not. A lot of times, I'll tell you right now that probably 95% of your errors will be typos. And you'll swear to me that it's typed right. But you know something? How many of you guys ever taken an English class? You turn a paper in, you think it's right, and it comes back and it's got big red circles all over, right? Am I right?
Too many times.
So the
Yeah.
scenario is that, you know, if you proofread your own stuff, it's a lot harder for you to find the errors. A lot of times when we're physically in class, or when we're going to do here, when I have you bring your screen up sometime and we look at your code, we'll point out, oh, look at that. And you'll be able to do this too. You'll say, oh, you forgot to put in a semicolon there or whatever. And it's not that we're magical or anything, but we're not the ones that wrote it. So when we read it, we can find some of the errors that the person that wrote it. I mean, that happens to me all the time. The other scenario is once you make certain mistakes and it takes you an hour or two or whatever to fix it, you'll never do it again. So there's a learning thing in there, okay? Lack of attendance, participation, examination should be done on today. As far as that goes, we, as of right now, we won't have any major examinations, midterm or final. You'll write programs and your grade will be basically based on the programs you write. Okay. There's a couple short quizzes, one on Blackboard, if you haven't noticed that one already. That one you have to get 11 out of 11 points on it, okay? Excuses, there are no excuses. Unless you're at the hospital up at OSF and skeletal traction, very few excuses get by me. Nuclear war, if you're in the drop zone, I might give you a buy on that one. Okay, your internet connection, of course, is important. Grading scale, my grading scale runs 93 to 100 is an A, and so on down to 70. Anything less than a 70 is an F. Why are my grades? Because you're my students and I expect more of you. And in reality, if I made it 90, I would just grade differently. It's, again, not a big deal. Your Blackboard grader is, you look in there, it's not accurate. So there's only two things you need to do in the Blackboard grader, and these are them. One, did you get a grade? If you turn something in this week, you should have a grade before the next week. Okay. So like, let's say that it's, okay, so you're going to have 3 programs due this week. Let's say that somebody turns theirs in tomorrow, all 3 of them. They won't be graded until after next Monday because I grade the following week after you turn stuff in. I mean, if I see a big mess or something, I'll notify you and say, hey, you're not getting this. You need to see me. But for the most part, your stuff is graded the following week. So let's say that you go in there next week and you don't see any grades. Okay. Then you should contact me and say, hey, Doug, why didn't I get a grade for this? Okay. So that's one thing you do in the Blackboard grader. Did I get a grade? 2, it'll say out of how many points were available. So let's say you get a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. You're doing pretty good, right? Everybody realizes that. If you're getting a 1 or a 2 out of 10, you need to get a hold of Doug because and normally I'll contact you. I'll put a little note in your grader that says there's something wrong here. Either you did the wrong problem or that. That being said, also, if you get a 0, that means you didn't turn it in. If you get a 1, okay, usually that's a redo. You did something wrong, and I'll list what you did wrong. It could be anything from you did the wrong problem, or did you really read what they were asking? Okay. And so I'll give you some extra time to change that 1 into a better grade. Might not always be a 10, but you'll get, that's another thing. You always, points are points. The whole class is based on points. The more points you accumulate, the better grade you're going to get on the end. I don't give you a grade. All I do is I list, these are how many points, this is the cutoff, this is how many points you need. Boom, that's it. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. So my question is if you get a 92.4 when I do your grades, what final grade are you going to get?
A B.
Yeah, you'll get a B. Yeah. How about a 92.5?
A B.
A B.
No, you're going to get an A.
Oh, you do round? Okay.
I'll round it up on because it's a 1/10%. Now, somebody might argue, well, Doug, a 92.4, that's 1/10 of 1,000. You know that, right? Or 1/10 of 100. And I'll say, you know what? If you would have worked 1/10 of 100 harder, you would have got an A, because I have to have a cutoff somewhere, right? Okay. So again, two things you're going to see in the Blackboard grader that you should pay attention to is, one, did I get a grade? Two, is my grade a good grade or not? Why did I give you a grade? I don't give grades to anybody. You earn your grades. Okay. Assignment submissions, it has to be in a NetBeans folder. No choices. Okay. You can't use any other products. It just, it makes it easier. Well, you can imagine, I have 75 or approximately 75 Java students, and each one of them turns in 3 projects a week. And I look at all of them for the most part. So they all have to be the same, because when I have to download them, unzip them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't do them in in NetBeans, I will send them back to you.
Do they automatically save as a zip file?
No, you have to zip them.
Oh, okay.
I use 7-zip. It's the easiest one. It installs seamlessly. I don't know about Mac users. If you're a Mac user, I apologize, but I've never even owned a Mac. So, but in PC, 7-zip, I think works the best of any of them. But if you use RAR or something like that, I can unzip anything. ePortfolio, menu list, and Blackboard. We'll look at how to do this here in a little bit, and how to put them in there. There is a little PowerPoint. I hope it still runs. Data storage recommendation. You have a Google Drive as an ICC student. Let me see if I can show you on mine. Let's see my. Let's see. Where's it at? I think it's in my. Trying to think here. Mine's a little different than your guys, so. Over here, this waffle right here, you click on it, you can see here, you got a OneDrive. And it should take you right to your, and everybody at ICC has one of these, okay, as part of, because your ICC email in reality is nothing more than a Google Drive, okay? Where were we at? General course info, yeah. So that's the best place to save. If you got a thumb, if you're using other stuff, just be, it's volatile. If your computer goes down, if whatever, it's on you. I can't recover it for you. Okay, data storage. What you should know, everything. Once it's introduced in the course, it's fair game. If you read it, if you heard it, if you were supposed to have read it or supposed to have heard it, whatever, okay? Because that's the way programming works. We're going to start out like we're crawling, and we're going to learn how to walk, and then we're going to learn how to run, and then how to do hurdles or whatever. So it's a growth thing. You can't forget what you learned in the first today and be successful. Next one is just the different things that we're offering at ICC. Again, you guys are this one here that's online scheduled. Okay. Here's that thing on Blackboard Gradebook. And this down here, I put that in there because this is where it talks about cheating or plagiarism. I'm pretty good at catching people. Especially, I like the ones when I get somebody turns in their program and it has somebody else's name on it. Those are pretty easy to figure out that you didn't write them. And I'm good at, I look at one, I'll say, wait a minute, I graded that already. And I get to the, 2, 3 more down the row and wait a minute, that guy has the same mistakes as this guy had. There's something wrong, And again, I have different, I hate to go even going over this stuff. I have different levels of cheating. You don't want to know why? Because in programming, we copy code all the time. Okay. We try to do it legally with some ethical background, but somebody's already solved most of the problems or a lot of them. Okay. And for me to reinvent the wheel every time I write a program is not good. And if I work for a company, what we're going to do, not as much this semester, but as you get into Dr. Halashimi's classes or Dr. Sun, we'll talk more about reusing code. You modularize. We're going to, later on in the course, we're going to modularize everything so that, let's say I'm writing a code today for how to calculate the tensile strength of the steel on a McCluggage bridge. So I write that program and we put it in the drawer, that calculation. We can just pull it out of the program, put it in a virtual drawer somewhere. And then maybe a year later, I need to do the Bob Michael bridge. And somebody will say, well, and you'll say, well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm writing a program that's got to do, well, Peterson wrote one on the McCluggage a couple of years ago. We'll just pull his code out because your boss is not going to want to pay you to do what somebody else already did. So we have reusability. 2 things that we're going to concentrate on, of course, also is user friendliness. I'm talking end user. Okay. It has to be user friendly is the correct term, but sometimes I refer to it in the improper term as idiot proof, right? Anything that can get broken, somebody will figure out a way to break it, either on purpose or just, because they didn't know any better. The other one, which is almost more important, is programmer friendliness. We used to have people that would write, back in the old day, we called it spaghetti code. And instead of having a logical path, they were all over the place. And it's similar today. If you write something that you think is out of the ordinary, you need to document it inside your program. Okay, so that people coming along later on know what you did and why you did it that way. Okay, so we'll concentrate on those 2 things. If I send you, when I'm grading your stuff and it says not user friendly, it might be something like you didn't give a good, if all you do when you start your program and all that comes up is a more than sign, what is the person supposed to put in there? Now, you know what's supposed to go in there because you wrote the program, but if Joe Blow coming down the street was to run your program, would they know what to put in there? Okay. Other things that affect your grade, spelling. If you're not a good speller, use spell check, because nothing looks worse if I'm trying to sell a program or my boss is reviewing a program if I don't know how to spell the word nickel. And I will, or Celsius. And you'll say, well, I know how to spell Celsius. Well, I will tell you that college students, I will get, when we do that chapter, I will probably guess that 5 of you will misspell Celsius in your program. Every semester, even after I say this today, we'll have students that misspell Celsius. Celsius only has 1 C, has 2 S's. Nickel ends in EL, not LE. Okay, and there's other words like that. February. I don't know how many times I say February misspelled. Okay, so those are things that could affect your career. Seriously. Okay. In other words, if I'm paying you $1 million, which is not out of whatever, and you bring over a program that you're going to show me as a template or as a sample, and half the words are misspelled in it, what kind of confidence do you think I'm going to have in your capabilities? You might be a great programmer, okay? But I can't be showing the end user my program that doesn't know that the word nickel is spelled the way it is. Okay. So just things like that. Okay. You want to be proud of the old saying that I wouldn't do it at my house. If I'm going to build somebody a house or do repairs of somebody's house, I would not do it I'd want it done the same way in my own house. And that's kind of like you. You should want your program to be as good as you would want it to be if you went there. Nothing's more frustrating, probably when you guys that are gamers go there and the game doesn't work right. Or there's a flaw somewhere, or the scene, it's supposed to be the 1890s or something, and whatever, there's a TV set in the background. It just throws everything off. So be careful with that, but you'll get messages from me that says things like that this wasn't user friendly enough. And as we go through the semester, we'll make them so that they can't break them. Okay. In other words, if they don't enter the right thing, it doesn't crash. If I tell you it crashed or it had an abend, ABEND, that means abnormal ending. And that's not good. That means the program, let's say I'm supposed to type in a number and I type in the letter A, and I do this on purpose once we get to that part of the book. And if it crashes at that point, you have to fix it. Okay? Because we want it to be user friendly. Any questions over this basic stuff? Okay? Anything you need to know here or have questions about?
I have a question about NetBeans.
Okay, we're not quite there yet, okay?
Okay.
But make sure you... Ashley, what was that one thing I told you to remind me about?
It was on NetBeans. Make sure you use Java Ant and
Oh,
not the
yeah,
other thing
okay. That's cool. We'll get there.
for NetBeans
Yeah.
12.0.
All right. So programming conventions and info. All right. So here's NetBeans folder submissions. Your NetBeans goes in your portfolio. It's over here. And once you zip it, you come over here to ePortfolios, click on it. There'll be, in your case, you'll have one of them. I'll pick somebody here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Mr. Luani. And you go in here, it says File Exchange. And right here, it'll say Add File. Now you have done your work. It's in a zip file somewhere on your computer. You hit Add File. You type in what it is. You don't put in a book, chapter 1, lesson, or exercise 3. You type in what it is. We're going to try again to treat everything as if you were in business with me. Okay? So we are going to do the stuff out of the book, but let's say that one of the first ones is rectangle. So you type in rectangle here. Okay, not chapter 1, exercise 15 or whatever. You don't need to put your name in there. Why don't you need to put your name in there? Because this is your e-portfolio. You and I are the only ones that can go there. So if you put something in there, I'm the only one that can see it. So I know whose portfolio this is and that it's your file. Then you browse on your computer, you find the file. Let's say that it's, oh, I don't know. Here's that COVID thing. I put that in. But let's say this is a zip file. I hit OK, and boom, it shows up. Then I hit submit. And I see that it's in there, okay? And if you can see it, I can see it. You know, every semester somebody says, Doug, can you check and see if my file is in the Dropbox or the e-portfolio? And I always say, can you see it? If you can see it in there, I can see it in there, okay? Let's say that you put that in there and you realize, you know what? It's not exactly what I want. I'm going to fix it. You can come over here, delete it, hit delete, and boom, now it's out of your file exchange. That's how easy it is. Okay, program conventions. Documentation. Every class that you create, the class is the main, and I'm going to show you this, but at the top of your program, you will do this. What is the name of the program? What is the file you're creating? What is your name? What date did you write this? And what is it supposed to do? Again, in the real world, we would have this with every part of the code. Every procedure in the code would have this because not everybody is going to, in the real world, more than one person is writing the program. And I might only have to write certain parts of it. So they're going to want to know what part I'm writing. When I wrote it, we talked about the tensile strength program of the, well, I want to know what year the person that originally wrote it, they wrote it. Who did it? Are they still in the company? What is it supposed to do? Again, if we were in business and I come to your business and I say, I want you to write me a program to do a certain thing, okay? And we talk and you think that you understand what I want. And so you start working on it, okay? And you write it all down here. And I come in 3 weeks later and I say, well, what do you got for me? And you show me and I say, that isn't what I wanted. You want to have some type of proof that what you did was what you think, your interpretation of what I'm asking, okay? Because if we're not on the same page, then, you know, I'm not going to pay you, all right? When we save things, we're going to declare them as certain data types. I'm going to let you get by with using just probably 2 data types, maybe 3. There's a lot more. It's like this. It's the economics of saving things. Certain things, when you save them, like a big number, takes up more room than a small number or an integer. Again, integers are whole numbers. They don't have fractions. So when I go to store them, it takes up less room to store that than it does to have one that has a fraction. Okay, or floating, what's called floating point is the nerd term for it. Floating point. So, but there's so many of them, and there's some stuff that you, again, but you have to be able to pick the right one. If you're going to say, oh, you're going to do somebody's temperature, okay? We're going to create a COVID program that we're going to take people's temperature. Do we want that to be an integer, the temperature? No, because most people take their temperature and they say, oh, you're at 100 0.1 or 98.6, if it's an integer, I'm not going to get that point, right? So I'm going to have to use, in our case, we're going to probably use a double, or you could use a float, okay, which is smaller than a double, takes up less room. But the main ones, and then we got Boolean. Boolean, everybody know what Boolean math is? If I say it's a Boolean data type, what are the answers going to be?
True or false?
True or false? Yep. So anytime you have, does this equal this? Okay. The answer is going to be Boolean. Okay. Because it'll either be it equals it or it doesn't equal it. Is the door open or shut? That's a Boolean. Okay. Male or female could be Boolean, because if it says, are you a male? True or false? Okay. So you could reduce, instead of typing in female or male, you could reduce it down to a yes, no, true, false, which takes up very little space. Naming conventions, I'm going to hit you with those. My basic rules are this: constants, things that cannot change during program execution. The value you're going to use for pi, 3.14159, or whatever you want to use. That would be a constant. The value of a dime, the value of a quarter, the tax rate in Illinois, those would all be constants for the most part. So to save them, we're going to create a constant, and it doesn't matter to Java, but to make it programmer friendly, you'll make the name of that all in uppercase. Okay. Ones that are variables, not constants, we'll use either, you can use, I don't care which one you can use camel hump. Okay. And if it has more than one word, you can use like total cost with an underscore. I don't want other types of punctuation, however. And we will not be using single. If you, again, your book is going to use variables like the letter I, the letter X, things like that. No, you'll lose a bunch of points. Our variables will have meaning. Okay. Your variables have to mean something. Here's the test. If I go and I say to, Ash, or no, David. If I say David, how's that Y? What are you going to answer, David?
Why what?
Yeah, why what? Because he has no idea. So if he can't answer me that question, it's not a meaningful variable. Now, if I say, David, what's your SSN? That makes sense?
Yeah, to me.
To everybody. Yeah, mostly to everybody. Or if it's a program on somebody's personal information and you use DOB, that would be acceptable.
Date
Okay.
of birth.
Yeah. If I use, let's say if I'm saying, we're talking about building a cat tractor and you use DOB, though I would question that because it's not meaningful. Not everybody would know what the DOB is on a Caterpillar tractor. I don't even know if there's any such thing. So hopefully you get my idea there, okay? Uppercase, case sensitivity. Java is case sensitive, so if you spell out first name like this, it is not the same as first name like that. Okay? Can't have spaces, can't use a reserved word. Reserved or keywords are ones that mean something specifically to Java, like public, private, sub, things like that. You can't use those words. Contractions, abbreviations. In other words, again, don't make up your own abbreviations. You can use something like, I'd probably let you get away with total square feet written like that. Okay. I definitely let you get away with total spelled out and then SQFT, things like that. Yeah, depending on what you're doing, get length, for instance, is better than get integer. Okay. These are this one is actually wrong here. Edit that real quick. To make something a constant, it isn't just typing it in capital letters. You have to type in the word final. That makes it a constant. The word final here makes it a constant. Okay. Has nothing to do with this being capitalized or whatever. So this is how you declare stuff. Okay. Your book will show you that you can do this, create two different variables on the same line. Don't do it like this. Instead, make it two separate lines. Okay. Constants, again, you have to have the word final in there, and the name of the constant should be in all uppercase. Okay. And you guys are all over my, so I gotta get this down to one. The assignment character, just so you know, and you'll make this mistake all the time, this is not an equal sign. That means assign this value here to this variable over here. In other words, it's not a Boolean operation. This one is. So to get an equal sign in Java and in C, C++, any of those products, Python, it's two equal signs side by side means equal to, okay? And here's the information on NetBeans and Java. So we can go there. Okay. NetBeans, again, I've always thought it. Yeah. So the question was, again, what was that again, Ash?
It was on NetBeans when you pull it up, which Java
okay.
you should use. It's Java Ant.
Yeah. So once you get this going, okay, and it's running, you're going to get to the first screen and say, what kind of program do you want to create? And there's several options. The one you want to use, you have to use Java Ant, A-N-T. Okay. Don't use any of the other ones. All right. I wonder if this will come up. Okay, so you get here, and I think this is the one, I don't know. And I just scroll down, and this is the one I use down here, usually. And then again, I have a 64-bit machine, and this usually does the job. You're going to want to do that before you do NetBeans, because then NetBeans goes and looks for an installation of Java. Okay. So you want to do that. What else? Retired text. Looks like that. It's the 12th edition. Some people ask me, well, I've got the 11th edition. Is it the same? Well, I'd say no, because we have a 12th edition. But for our purposes, I don't know how much of it has even changed. So if somehow you glomped onto, oh, I got both of them here. Are you seeing, which one do you see?
The 12th.
Oh, good. So you're seeing this one, right? The 12th?
Yeah, that's the one I have with me right now.
Well, but I'm seeing here, this should not be here anymore. And then mine says it's hidden from you. Well, that's not right. Jeez Louise. So it should look like that, the book. Okay. Programming conventions. Okay, so that's the blah, 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 info, naming conventions, da, 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 da. Okay, text, NetBeans. Syllabus. Okay. All right, questions.
Are
All
there
right.
any big differences between the versions of Java to use?
I think you'd be okay. It just comes down to me grading them. As long
Okay.
as I can grade them, I don't much care.
All right. Just wanted to check.
I mean, here's the scenario. Here's what happened. Okay, Java and NetBeans used to just be out there. Well, all this stuff now is owned by Oracle. So like if you go to the old NetBeans or whatever, the old Java 8, let's say, it's not, you're going to click on it and then it's going to take you over to Oracle and say, no, you should install this one. Okay. So, but I think you're all right if you got 10, 11, whatever, 12. I think it's 14 now or something. I don't even know.
I think I
long
got
as-
10.
Because
So
I think you'll be okay.
I had Java 8 before, and it said that this was a different,
Yeah.
different Java thing. So I guess I have 2 now because you have to have Java 8 for Minecraft.
Yeah. But try and get the newest one you can. As you know, I'm not, as long as I can grade them, that's all I care about. It's the same basic stuff. All right. So the next one down is ePortfolios. Again, I showed you that already. Sending email. You can send email to anybody in this class. Okay. You click all users and send it to everybody. Okay. So this one here, you'd use, oh, we're having a party. Invite everybody, including Doug. This one here would be, hey, let's have a party, but don't include Doug. This one would be, hey, you know what? Let's pretend we're having a party. We'll invite Doug, but nobody else will show up. Okay. And this one here is, hey, I only want to invite certain people. Okay. So that's email. Oh, come on. By the way, if this thing hides, it's over here on the edge. You click on the edge and it'll come up. Discussion board, you have an assignment in discussion board this week, and that's just to post a biography. And again, my scenario here is that the more people you know in the class that you can get a hold of if you need help, the better off you are. So you go here, you create a new thread, and I'll pick on, let's see who here, Stephanie. So Stephanie comes in, she posts this about herself, you know, introduce herself. And then you read it, you do one like this by posting a new thread. And once you do that, you go and look at other people's, and you have to reply to a minimum of 2 people in the class. You can reply to as many people as you want, but at least 2, okay? And you just click reply and say, hi, I also went to Rutgers and blah, 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 okay? I'm new to programming or whatever you want. Oops. And so I would just type there. So you have to at least introduce yourself to 2 other people in the class. Okay? And you get 10 points for that. But again, one of the purposes is that if it's 8 o'clock at night or that, you're not going to get a hold of Doug. So you have some options. You can figure it out yourself. You can call or text somebody in the class, or you can Google it, you know. Nothing wrong with going to Google or YouTube if you're having problems, okay? And then my grades, once you have grades, you click this. Mine's different than you guys, but it'll list over here. You can see the numbers here. Like the biography is out of 10 points. So if you get a 10 out of 10 there. The test on Blackboard, again, you have to have 11 points there. So you keep taking it over and over and over again until you get an 11. Any questions on that part? My grades is down here. Office hours. You go to office hours the same way you got to class today. Okay. Help, I don't even know if I got the stuff in there. Yeah. Oh, there's other places with office hours, but this one here is the main number at ICC. If you get, your car gets crashed at ICC, if you can't log in to Blackboard or something, that's this one. They cannot help you install NetBeans or that though. They have no idea what that is. If you need to talk to the dean, if you need help registering, stuff like that, getting a hold of me, again, is via email. I posted my office hours in other places. I will put it here too. And of course, it's all via Zoom. Okay. Prior to start was out there. So this just basically tells you what you could have done up until the first day here. And then we got lesson 1 here. Now you don't see all these, but these are going to pop up once a week. Okay. So they're going to pop up once a week. And in this one are the programs that you need to do. Read chapter 1 of the book. NetBeans Java goes back to where we already looked. These are the programs. They're at the end of the chapter. Okay. And like I said before, when you put them in your portfolio, this one will say the name of it should be 4-letter word, not Computer Science 115, chapter 1.3. Okay. And this one will be rectangle. This one might be runner or miles or kilometers to miles per hour. Okay. Then your biography. Here's the sizes of the different types, or it should be different types of data types. Now I said we're going to use this one. We'll use the char, which is 1 letter. We can use short. Most of the time we're going to use int. And then we'll use double. And string is anything we don't do math with. By that I mean your social security number. Is it a number or a string? Anybody?
A string,
It's a string. Why?
because you don't do math with it.
I've never done math with my social security number. That's exactly right. Okay, so if you don't do math with it, it's a string. You do math with it, it's one of the other choices. And I won't ask you what they can hold, but basically down here it describes that, what it is. Okay. In other words, if I want to save the population of China, okay, or the world, I can't save it as an integer because it's too big. It would have to be a long. Okay. The difference between a float and a double is the precision. Okay. A float is good up until what? Negative up to about 38 decimal places. Look at what it is for a double.
Wow.
Okay. And you'll still get weird stuff. Okay. I'll tell you. Computers use the binary number system. Okay. They don't use the decimal number system. So sometimes, let's say you took the square root of 4. Everybody know what it is? It's 2, right? 2
Yeah.
times 2. So if I want the square root of 4, it's 2. Sometimes if you make that a float or a double, you'll get that the square root of 4 is 1.9999999, repeating. And you just know that, and we make accommodations for that, okay? And I'll talk to you more about that stuff later. So that's what's in that one. Close that one. Are we in the right one? Yeah. So got that memorization. Quiz coming. It may come, it may not. And this is an example with comments. This is what you're going to do to submit stuff. And again, on the folder, oh, you don't even see that one. Okay. But this is the steps to submit something. And that's basically the, how do I want to put it? The housekeeping for this course. Okay. Questions over this stuff. Again, every week you'll come. Usually on Saturday or Sunday, I'll open the next lesson up. And as you can see here, right now I've got 15 different lessons set up. So just think, after this week, you'll only have 14 more to do. Yikes. All right. Okay. So there's that. Down here, I have Java or NetBeans. I'm going to click on it. And you can see it's Apache. I'm sorry, I think I said Oracle. Apache has NetBeans now. And it should pop up. So it looks like this, okay? And depending on what version you've got, it may look a little bit different. But I go over here to File, New Project, and it pops up, right? And you got Maven, Gradle. This is the one you want right here. Java with Ant, Java application, okay? And it's Java SE is what we're using. I hit Next. And this is where I put the name of what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to type rectangle in here. I can spell today. It's hard to type on. Now, right below that, this is where it's going to save my program to. Okay, when I go to zip it later on, I need to know where I can find this. Okay, on this computer, I can see it saving it there. If I wanted to, I could save it to my desktop. I just come here, click, and go to my desktop and send it there. But I'm going to try and remember it's under users, user doc. Oh, I'm going to just put it on my desktop. Okay. So now if you look, it says where it's at. What is it named? Okay, now I want a main. I'm not going to touch that. And I click finish. And this is what you should see. Let me see if I can make this any better for you. Okay. So this is what it looks like when I create a new program. You should have a main. For right now, it should be right here. It should be right here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here to the, why is it doing that? I should go up to the top here, and I need to change this because it has to say something like this. Program will be, oh, I don't know. You can make it the Acme rectangle program. What is the this? This is a keyword for this class that I'm doing right now, not the class in school. This program on this page. In some programs we have later on, we'll have more than one class in them. So this one we called it rectangle, and it's rectangle Java, and I'll show it to you. Over here under projects, if I click and I look in source packages, under packages, it'll say rectangle right there. So that's what I'm creating right now. Okay, so that's what the this is. And then today's date is, and I don't care how you do this. You can make it 17 August 2020, or you can use any other date format. I don't care. And then this is author or programmer, doesn't matter. D. Peterson. And unless your name is D. Peterson, you put your own name there. And then purpose of this program is to create a program to calculate the size, the area and perimeter of a rectangle given to hard-coded measurements. Which this program is going to be worth. Let me ask you this question. Hard coding means I'm going to type the values in the program. How much value is there to this program? Somebody guess.
Like, what do you mean by value?
Well, I'm going to type in specific numbers. So the only answer it'll ever print out is the same answer all the time. How valuable do you think this is to a user?
Not very.
Not very.
valuable.
Not very valuable unless they happen to be, what was the size here? I forget. Unless they're building something that's 4.5 wide and 7.9 long, it's not going to be very useful to them, right? Because they're not going to have an option to put anything in. Okay? So unless they're into those two numbers, this program is virtually worthless. All right, now I'm going to clean this up. Notice that this up here starts with a slash splat. We call asterisks or uppercase 8. We call them splats if you're a real geek, okay? Or an asterisk. We also call exclamation points bangs, B-A-N-G. But anyway, so it's a slash asterisk, and then the comment ends in a asterisk slash. So anything in here is just a comment. the program doesn't read it, in other words. This is strictly for programmer friendliness. The user never sees this either, okay? Then, the first line that executes in your programs always in my class will be a package line. And the package is right here. It's a container inside the folder that holds the different pieces of the, so later on we'll have different classes inside the package that can see each other without us having to specify where that's at. So it always has to be the first readable line of the program. Now, the code is always contained in between two braces, okay, or brackets, braces. So what I like to do is I line my braces up. If I got one up here, I know that's the start of the class. Then I know this one is the end of the class, okay? Same thing here. I'm going to move this one out here because then I know this is the start of the main. This is the end of the main. If I have those all over the place and I don't have good indentation, when something is inside of, in other words, the main is inside my class, okay? There's no code from here down to here. This is all indented because it's inside the class. Anything I'm going to type in here, okay? Anything I type in here will be inside my main. These comments that are like this, those are for Java as a self logging program that takes care of that. And later on, we'll talk about it, but it'll document your program automatically if you do that. So this is here, right here is a, so this is what it's going to look like. This is what you should do right off the bat, and then we save it. This symbol right here means save everything in this program, okay? And once you click that, it goes dim because now I've saved it. And you know what? I can run this program right now by just clicking on this green arrow, and it's done running, okay? If your program should run and it's an infinite loop or it won't stop, this will be red here, and you can stop your program by clicking on it, okay? Some of the stuff up here you should get familiar with, of course, file, how to save stuff, editing stuff we'll talk more about. This one here, run, you just saw it. You can run your program by doing F6, okay? Sometimes you'll swear your program's all right. You might, sometimes your program, if you've done a lot of changes and stuff, the computer will get mixed up and your program won't run right. You can always try clean and build, and it'll go through and straighten it out if it's just the program itself or the computer itself. All right. So now let's do this. I'm going to type some stuff here if I can remember it, but I had a whole summer, you know. So to get something to print out in Java, it's system dot out dot print line, ln, that's an L, and then whatever I want to print. So I'm going to just put something like the Acme rectangle calculator. Again, I'm trying to make it user-friendly more than what you really need. And then each statement ends in a semicolon, like that. So now if I was to run this, you can see it says the Acme rectangle calculator there. If you have lots of programs running that you haven't stopped, you're going to get a box down here. Sometimes you have to stop them. You just X them out. Okay, and then we can say system dot out, print line. The width of the rectangle is, and then I usually use a colon like that. And what was the width of that? 4.5, whatever units, okay? So it's 4.5, and we'll actually put units here. And then we can do system.out print, oops. Notice when you hit a period like that, look what pops up. These are all the options you can do with system out. For most of the time in this class, it'll be print or print line. Difference between print and print line, if you print line, it prints the line and goes down to the next line. If you use print, you stay on the same line. So if I made both of these print, it would be one long line of when it prints out, where I want it to be on separate lines. So I'm using print line. And try to be consistent. Again, you notice I start each one of these with a capital letter so it looks English correctness, that kind of thing, okay? Again, you want it to look good. Then I'm going to look over here at my 7.9 long. Oops, that ain't what I wanted. So this is 7.9 long. Okay. And notice I get a red line. What's wrong with this line? Somebody jump in.
There's no semicolon at the end.
There you go. No semicolon at the end. Okay. And then, oops, I got rid of my semicolon. If you make a mistake, you can always just click on redo, save, okay? Let's say later on in the class that you're doing a longer program and you get to a certain point. And something I very seldom do anymore, but you should do, is let's say you're going to go to bed, you got it, it's running up to a certain point, and you save it. And you get up the next morning and you're going to work on it some more. You might want to save a copy, an extra copy somewhere that you don't change. Because if you screw up from that point on to the point where you can't recover it, at least you only have to go back to what you did the previous day. You don't have to start from the total beginning, if you know what I'm saying. Once we start building our programs modularly, that becomes less of a problem. But it's just something to keep in the back of your head that how far back, if this thing was to implode, how far back do I, have you ever played a video game where they make you start back at the beginning and watch the whole, there was one game, I forget what in the hell it was I used to play, but if you screwed up, it didn't have like, took you back to a certain level. It took, you had to go all the way back and start over again. And for that reason, I quit playing that game because it was a waste of my time. All right, so we got that now. Now, I'm not going to calculate that out myself. I am not going to just say, go to my calculator and print what that is. I'm going to say, it's hard to type on this when I'm balancing it on my lap. The perimeter, the rectangle is, okay. Now, outside of the quotes, I'm going to put 4.5 times is an asterisk and 7.9. Oh, stop. Do I need a comma? Blah, 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 blah. It's going to drive me nuts. I know it. It always does. System front line is single double. I got something. Oh, duh. There we go. Again, did you see? I knew something, like in other words here, if I take this out, see the red line? Well, that ain't going to run if there's a red line under it. I need a plus sign here. This is different again than this right now. What we're doing here is a concatenation. We're not trying to add these two numbers together. We're adding the text that's going to be created here to the text over here. And it knows that it's going to be a string because part of it is already a string. Okay, depending on what language you're doing, that changes from time to time. So that should work there. And let's say I get to this point. Should I keep going? No. What I should do is come over here and try and run the program and see if I got this much of it right. And there you go. Now, again, this has to do with the computer being a binary computer. And I'm going to show you how to fix that later on. Don't worry about it. And I did this wrong, didn't I? I did the math wrong. I did the area. So I'm just going to go ahead. And since I did the area, I'm going to make this one the area. Okay? Because the area is the length times the width. So now if I run that, that's good. And I could fix this too. I could come here, hit space, and then do plus. And type in square units. Something like that. And then run it. And you can see I'm missing a space there. So I'll come back here and put a space there. Now it'll look real pretty. Okay. Yeah, when you run this like this, if it comes up like this, build successful, that means it exited with a 0, and that's right, it's good. If it's red down here, that's bad, okay? You need to fix something. And this is system.out. The perimeter this time. Perimeter of the rectangle is, I got a space there, that's what I want. Again, you notice I didn't jam the number up against the is either. So this is a plus 2 times, and I could do this in a couple different ways. I'm just going to do 2 times parentheses 4.5 plus 7.9. I already got 2, so that goes outside of that. And then this will be linear units. Oop, I forgot my plus sign here again. And then that goes away. Oh, stop. What's that there? So that looks like that, and we can check and see if it looks good. Well, see, I got this 8 here and it's right up against there. Why is that? Let's go look. Oh, see, I didn't put a space in here. There should be a space there. There's a space there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we could even come down here. Take this line, Control C, and then paste it in here, Control V. Oops, I don't want to do that. Save it. Run it. And there you go. There's that program. Notice I'm not making you, and you should not use variables right now. Not for these first couple. Okay? Simple as this. I'll give you a little thing on the next program, or the first program, the 4-letter word program. What I want you to do is spell out a word graphically. So you do something like system.out.println, and then let's say you're going to print out Java, so you might go JJ, and then we'll have over here probably a single point for an A, and then a couple over here, a V, and then some more spaces, a V again, and then another A out here. Okay. So we're going to spell it like, or make it look like the word Java spells out. So then the next line, I'll come down here. Oops. And it'll be system.out.println. Now this would be in a different program. I didn't feel like opening a new program. So Java here is going to be, about there's the J. The A starts growing, so it'll be maybe A space A here. And the V will be in one here, and then one towards here, one in there. And then here again, I got A, whoops, A space A. And then I go down to the next line. So you see what I'm doing? Anybody not understand what I'm doing? I'm drawing.
I was confused at first, but now I see it.
Yeah, I'm spelling the word Java. And you can spell any word you want, any 4-letter word, within reason, of course. Why does that keep doing that? I hate that thing. So then I got a J here. And so on and so on. So then my A would expand maybe out to here. And here. My V comes down. So you can see I'm spelling the word Java, right? And that's how simple this one is too. No calculations, nothing. You just do a 4-letter word, and I'll print it, or we'll take a look at the top of it here. Ooh, what happened here? My Java here is all screwed up. Why is that? Print line, print line. That's interesting. Why is that one line off kilter? I don't know. I can't tell you. because that's kind of weird. It should be graphically, it should be the same. Anyway, you need to finagle it enough that, but I don't understand why it's not. I didn't put any tabs in there. Print line. Let's try that. So you just need to finagle until it looks something like it spells Java. Okay. So for some reason, this needs to be kicked out a little bit. I think that's there. It's closer. I mean, it doesn't have to be real pretty. Just so that program you would save as 4-letter word. Okay. So anyway, let's get back to this one. So I did this. So my program's ready to be submitted. It runs good. I checked over it. The spelling's right. I've got my documentation. If I say you're missing your internal documentation, that means you're missing all this. Okay. So I'm going to hit save. And then I can actually close Java at this time. And if you remember, I happen to save mine out here. And you can see it's in a folder. I don't even need to go in there. There's a bunch of different files in there. But I'm going to right click it. Excuse me. And hit send to and compress zip folder. And now you can see I've got my folder here with the zipper on it. I'm going to go back to Blackboard, go to my portfolio. And let's see here. I'll use Mr. Malik this time. I go to File Exchange. Okay. I say Add File. I say Rectangle or Acme Rectangle, anything you want here. And then I know I put it on my desktop. And here it is here. I hit open and I hit submit. And there it is. And I can see right here when you submitted it, if it's late or something. Normally, again, if you look in here and this says 0 or something, something's wrong. You didn't put what you were supposed to in here. Okay? And again, if I want to get rid of it, I just hit delete and it's gone. I highly recommend that you keep all your projects in your file exchange throughout the whole course. All right, so that's pretty much my, what do you want to call it, housekeeping and your first lesson. So I will see you back here on Wednesday. Questions?
Once more, can you go over the pathway in order to open a new project on NetBeans?
Yeah.
I know it starts with Java with Ant, but from there I'm a little bit lost.
Okay. So here's my icon. I put it on my taskbar down there. Just dragged it down there.
You're
And
going to
so
have to throw your screen back up real quick.
oh my gosh. You always want something.
Sorry.
So I have my, down here, you can see I have it on my, because I use it so much. Hello. So, oh yeah. And then I close this, get rid of that. So it comes up, mine looks like this when it comes up. I go to File, New Project. And if Ant isn't selected, I make sure it's on Ant, not Maven or Gradle or PHP, okay? Make sure this is over here. You don't even have to click on that one normally. Then you hit Next. you have to name your application. Okay, so let's say it was going to be 4-letter word. Okay. And so I would do that. And then I would hit finish.
So that's where I'm having a problem. It just says finding feature.
There's a couple of plugins that you have to install.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, I didn't have to do that, so I can't tell you.
Was that Ash that mentioned that?
Might have been. And again, whoever said
Hey,
that, if
when
you
I
want, go
installed
ahead.
it, oh, what happened? Oh, when I installed it, it took me to something and it asked me if I wanted to install like extra plugins with it when I was installing it, and I'm like, yeah, I do. And then it all started running normally.
Okay.
Yeah, I never had an installer. I just unzipped it, put it into my C drive, and then it has an
Oh.
application that you open. So I don't.
Okay, it does have an installer. The one I
Cool.
got had an installer.
Yeah, mine's always had an installer. So
'Cause I don't think I unzipped it.
I downloaded.
Is that covered
11
in the video?
I don't know. Can't tell you.
NetBeans 11 doesn't have an installer.
We're on
Not-
NetBeans. We're on NetBeans 12.
Yeah, you just open the folder and it has NetBeans and NetBeans 64-bit, and then you just click the application for 64 and it opens up. So I'm not sure what plugins I need.
Yeah, it would be the one, be Java SE. Let's see here. I'll probably screw up my whole.
Yeah, from the first screen in NetBeans, it has download plugins or whatever. So I'm trying to find Java SE.
It would be Java SE using Ant or something.
They should be automatically checkmarked for the ones you need.
But here's the one I installed this version on right here. So that loads it there, and then you hit save file. Somewhere it goes up here.
Mr. Peterson, can we have him share a screen so we can see what he's looking at?
Yeah, we can do that. They can, in other words, they can help you, buddy. So we can go to here.
Yeah, because I'm a little lost.
I'm trying to figure out the letter thing.
I see Java FX implementation, but
I'm pretty sure that's what I installed and it
Yeah,
works
so-
fine.
Yeah,
when
that's what
did
I
that.
installed too. I'm pretty sure that might be it.
all right, I'll just check those boxes. Or have you sent me the invite to show my screen?
Hang
You
on,
check
I'm
both those boxes, it should work.
trying to figure out what's going on here. I can't see the bottom of my.
It's no worry. I clicked the Java FX implementation for Windows, and I'm about to click install. So I think that'll work.
I can't see what's going. Why is this up here and it's not showing me? That's not right. Wait a second. So I'm going to do this. Hang on. There you go. Now you should be able to share it. Who was that was talking? Oh, there. So that's not mine. That's David's, I think.
At that point, I had to click next, and then
Oh, that was cancel.
What's this plugins.
Ah,
I don't see anything you need there.
Yeah,
I clicked next.
Right there, you just click next, and then you should go right to the.
Yeah. And then after I did that, it gave me two options to install plugins.
Yeah, it's
I just
finding,
installed both of them.
and it.
I just
and-
let it sit for a second and then it went straight to the plugin
Oh,
that
okay.
needed.
Yeah, I had to let it sit for a little bit as well.
Okay, I wouldn't pick them out of there. I'd just go to that ant thing, and then just wait a second while it finds the features.
All right, my mic wasn't working. I'm sorry. Yeah, I installed the plugin for Windows, so everybody's just saying just wait, and I have to get out of here, so
Oh,
I'll
okay.
figure it out. But thank you.
All right. So unshare your screen. Any other questions?
I have a question. Anytime I try to like, create like a new project, like
Yeah.
nothing shows up. It doesn't.
Are you clicking on ant?
It doesn't even open anything. It just doesn't do anything.
Well, how are you creating a new project?
I go to file, then click on new project, and like nothing just shows up.
So you're getting, wait 1 second.
Like nothing just shows up. Like I click on.
Do you get this screen?
What?
Apache, do you get Apache NetBeans? Do you get this?
I have the IDE, NetBeans IDE.
This. Am I sharing it or am
You're
I
not
not?
showing your
Oh,
screen.
crap. Hang on. So do you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you go to here to file,
Then I click new project. Nothing shows
okay,
up.
nothing shows up here.
No.
Then there's something wrong with your install, I would think. What are you running it on, a PC or a Mac?
PC.
Um,
Windows.
you could try.
you know what it could be?
What?
I know for some computers, my computer have this problem. If you have Microsoft Edge selected as your default browser, you can't use Java.
Oh, okay.
You have to use which version of Firefox do
I
I
use
have?
Google or Fire. I use Chrome or
I just use
never
Firefox,
use
yeah.
Edge.
So how do I change that?
So what you need to do is if you have Firefox, just go to your system default apps and change your default browser to Firefox.
Or just open Firefox and it'll
Yeah.
say, do you want to make this your default?
Yeah.
I think it does anyway. Mine used to, it doesn't anymore apparently.
I have an older version that's meant for Java specifically.
But it works fine with Chrome and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I didn't know Edge knocked it out or whatever.
Yeah, Microsoft Edge doesn't like Java. I figured that out the hard way after spending 2 hours figuring out how to run Java on my computer.
Still didn't work.
Still didn't work?
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, hang on. Let's see. Let me hang on.
Are we at a spot I can jump off? Because I've got another class that has a meeting
Yes, you
starting in
can.
like 5 minutes. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Oops,
Thank
hang
you.
on. All right, you should be able to see or share.
Okay. There. Like nothing just shows up.
Hang on. Okay.
I think you have a different version of NetBeans.
Oh, you got 8.2 running.
Mhm.
That's probably the problem.
Okay.
I don't think the latest version of Java
will run on NetBeans 8.
Yeah, that's probably what
You
it
probably
is.
need to install a newer version of NetBeans.
Newer version? Okay.
Yep.
Like right when you get on the site, it should tell you like hey, this is the new version. Yeah, the ones that say NetBeans, find a NetBeans, yeah, X60.
12.0, that's good.
Yeah,
Do
This
that
one?
one. Yep,
Okay.
the top one.
Okay.
just run through that.
Okay, anybody else? And it should write over the top or get rid of that for you. So just do that one. I think you'll be okay.
Okay. Thanks.
So you can stop sharing.
Yeah, I can't get this to line up in or the word thing.
Just do it your best. No, you'll figure it out. As long as I can see that you printed something, you know? All right. Anybody else? We're done.
I think it's good.
All right. I
So,
was, go ahead.
like